Trucker Dump for December 22nd, 2015, episode 112, Truckers Can't Read.
Welcome to Trucker Dump, where you'll get one driver's insights and sometimes humorous views of truck driving and the trucking industry, and pretty much anything else he feels like dumping on you. This podcast is brought to you by AboutTruckDriving.com. Resources to help you understand the world of truck driving through the use of stories and a pathetic attempt at humor.
Hey there, folks. Todd McCann. Wow. Getting another podcast out right before Christmas. Can you believe it? Well, I really can't. I'm kind of shocked. I wasn't expecting to be able to nail one more out right before the end of the year, but hey, I'm going to try my best. We'll see what happens. This is going to be kind of a short episode because, you know, it is Christmas and nobody's really got time to listen to it in the first place. And quite honestly, I'm not in a great mood today, so I'm just going to keep it short. I got a fairly short post. I've got no feedback. Well, I do have feedback, but I'm just not going to do any today. I just don't feel like it. Got some more listener stuff from Greg and from Long Duck.
What's happening, hot stuff?
But I'm just going to hang on to it for now. So what do we got going here? Well, first, I guess it's Christmas time. I hope you guys are getting all your shopping done and everything. And I hope most of you are on your way home. Or if you're listening to this late, you've already been home and you had a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. If not, well, sorry. Unless, of course, you elected to stay out on the road, you weirdo. Anyway, okay, what do we got going here today? Let's see. Let's start out with quick announcements. A couple quick announcements. Well, I guess the biggest news is we bought a house. The Evil Overlord and I finally got a house, got out of the in-laws. We'd been living with them for so long, mainly just because, you know, saving money when we were on the road all the time. There was no sense in having a place of our own. And when she got off the road and left me out here by myself, she just never really bothered to move out on her own anywhere. And, you know, eventually you just want your own place, and that's what we did. There is a link in the show notes if you're interested in seeing a picture of it. No big deal. Just if you want to see it, there it is. Oh, great. Jets started going over just as I started recording. Of course they did. Why wouldn't they? Oh. So here's the thing I've learned about homeownership so far. It kind of sucks. You know, it's really nice having your own place and everything, but boy, the moving just sucks. It's just horrible. We got my nephews and their friends to help, and, you know, they were a big help, so we did appreciate that. We didn't pay the nephews, but we did pay their friends, so they were awful happy about that. Weren't expecting as much as we gave them either, but hey, we were going to have to hire somebody if they didn't show up. So, you know, what's the difference whether you pay them or pay some stranger that we don't know? And then the stranger knows everything we have in our house, and that's not cool either. And since the Evil Overlord is just a tad bit paranoid, she wouldn't like that anyway. But anyway, got to hang out with the nephews a little bit, but I tell you what, every bone in my body was sore, and I learned a valuable lesson. The next time I move, I'm getting some gloves. I just didn't wear gloves, and my body was sore, but my hands were just raw, I guess, from handling all the boxes and stuff, I guess. I don't know. I'm just a wuss now. I'm just a trucker. I don't have to hardly ever fingerprint boxes anymore. I just drive, so any activity like that I got to do, well, it's just uncomfortable, to say the least. Oh, well, we got all moved in. Man, our house looks like, if you walk in, it looks like an episode of Hoarders. It's just horrible. We realize, you know, getting out on your own, you've only got so many. I mean, we don't have a lot of dressers and stuff like that to put clothes away. Don't have a lot of cabinets and you know, shelving and stuff like that for all the knickknacks and stuff. So there's just crap everywhere in the house. So you won't be getting any interior pictures. Anyway, what else did I learn? Well, I learned when you buy a new house that there's all kinds of little problems with it that you just weren't expecting. You know, right now we're dealing with this hum that only the Evil Overlord can hear. It's a high-pitched hum, and it's coming from the AC unit somehow. We're not sure how. So naturally, this means that my honey to-do list has gotten huge. I never had that big of a list before, but moving into a new house, all of a sudden I've got all these things that I got to do every time I'm home, So next time I'm home, I'll be crawling under the house and looking at the ductwork and, just trying to figure that all out. Can't wait. It's kind of frustrating because I can't hear it. Our nephews can hear it. I think it probably has to do with, getting old. The older you get, the more you can't hear high pitched sounds. And I think that's probably part of it. And probably just too much heavy metal music for me. So she can hear it. I couldn't hear it. We did have our HVAC guy out, and he was even deafer than me. He actually had some hearing loss, so he couldn't hear it, certainly. So we just have to trust the evil overlord when she hears it. And he did manage to get it to reduce some, but she still hears it and it's still bugging the crap out of her. And that is the price you pay when you have a wife who has vampire-like senses. Her and her stupid sniffing, super smelling nose, and now she's got this, bat-like hearing. I don't know what's going on with her. Anyway, all right. Well, that's enough about the house, I suppose. What do we got going on next? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get some bad news out of the way here. Well, it's not really bad news, I guess. Well, anyway, you decide. No, it's bad news. Okay. A few episodes ago, I was mentioning a podcast about truckers and guns, and mentioned that there was this trucker who did a podcast, and I think I called it the Gun Runner Podcast or something like that. Well, I got that wrong. That's not the name of it. But here's the thing. I'm not going to give you the correct name of it because Greg, listener Greg, the guy who keeps sending all the audio comments, and I appreciate that, Greg, he informed me that this guy who did this podcast got into some trouble with the law, and I don't think he's doing the podcast anymore. But now before any of you anti-gun freaks freak out about, it's got something to do with guns. No, it doesn't. It has nothing to do with guns. Something entirely different, but I am certainly not going to promote anything he does. So, not giving you that. If you want to hunt it down on your own, you're on your own, but I'm not going to promote that. Okay, now let me plug a couple of things that have been happening that I thought were kind of cool. A guy named Shaun from powertrainhorns.com wrote me and was interested in doing an infographic for my article about four reasons that trucker might be tailgating you. And he did it, and it's up, and I have put a link to it in the show notes, so you might want to run over there and check that out. That was kind of cool. He kind of turned it around a little bit and put it from the car's point of view, not the truck's. So I think that was an interesting twist, because I don't think most people are going to, most normal four-wheelers didn't like that article because they don't think there's any time that a trucker should be tailgating, and I'm sure probably some of you truckers out there will agree with that too. But I laid out my points in there, so it's all that's in the infographic, and if you're interested, I'll also put a link in the show notes to that article, or the podcast that I did on that. I don't remember what episode that was, but let me look real quick. Okay, I checked on that. That was Trucker Dump 95. So, like I said, if you want to check, just go to abouttruckdriving.com and search for that, Trucker Dump, or TD95 is how that would be listed in the search box. Or you can just click on the link that's in the show notes. And thanks to Shaun for putting that up. That was kind of cool. Also got a little plug from the Fleet Mover blog, which is at fleetmover.wordpress.com. And they did a little list of best trucking and non-trucking podcasts to listen to while you're on the road. And I made it into the trucker stuff. So I appreciate them giving me a little plug over there. Always appreciate anybody that plugs a podcast, including you. Are you telling your friends? You should be. All right. What else have I been doing? Oh, yeah. I mentioned the Trucker Dump. Or no, Trucker Dump. No, not Trucker Dump. TruckerMagazine.com. I'm still writing for them. Their December issue has been out for a little while, and just wanted to kind of give you a flavor of what's in there. Some of the articles. Like there's an article on roadside attractions and cool truck stops in Colorado. There's stretches for truckers. There's one call about healthy options for fast food when you go into the fast food joints. There's kind of an odd one for trucking, but it's relieving stress using scents, not like dollars and cents, like smells. That's kind of interesting. They've got one for best gifts for truckers, which is appropriate since it's Christmas time. Got some cool gifts on that. Oh, there's mine. I wrote about modifying the 70-hour rule and how I think one tweak to it would really fix that 70-hour rule a lot. So if you're interested in that, go check that out. That is truckermagazine.com, by the way. There is also an interesting article about keeping in touch with your family back home via games, through games like, Scrabble with Friends and all those kind of games that are, you can play with your kids while you're out on the road. It's kind of cool. And your spouse. Of course, my wife won't play me on any of those word game stuff because I always slaughter her. She's smarter than me, but I get her on those games all the time. Oh, well. There's also something really cool for some of you truckers who might be interested in going out on your own for, becoming an owner-operator, maybe stepping up from a company driver to buying your own truck and everything. And it's called Going Out on Your Own, and they're on part 5 right now. Now, honestly, I haven't read these because I would rather have my eyes plucked out by zombie crows than I would be interested in owning my own truck. But hey, if that's your bag, baby, have at it. Like I say, this is part 5, so you want to go back on truckermagazine.com and go back in the archives and check those out. All right. All right, now it's time to get the elephant in the room. For any of you guys who are listening to the trucking podcast with Buck and Don, you will have noticed that they have really been riding me a lot about wearing sweats out here. And Steven and I discussed this on the last podcast a little bit. And Steven always wears jeans. That's just the way he is. He has nothing against sweats. But there is a whole faction of people out there who actually don't think we should be wearing sweats. Well, Buck and Dawn, like I said, they've been ribbing me over there left and right. They're doing it all in good fun, and that's fine. We got our little podcast rivalry going on here. But he went to the extra step, and he wrote an article called 5 Acceptable Places to Wear Sweatpants. So, hey, go over to truckingpodcast.com, and you can look that up, or there's a link in the show notes. And read it. Give me and then write in and tell me what you think about it. I'm really thinking about trying to get a hold of maybe a time where I can call into their show or, something where we can all three talk about this subject. Because Buck and I just really disagree with this. He talks about all the downsides to wearing sweats, and I just honestly don't get it. And I've never experienced any of the things that he talks about. So, I'm going to work on that. We're going to, I don't know what we'll do, but I'm going to see if I can't get him in on something like that. Okay. What do we got left? I think we got one more thing before we get to the meat of it. Our old friend, Eric McMahon, I told you a long time ago that he was working on a Christmas song. I guess he actually recorded this back when he recorded the Keep on Truckin' album. Is that the name of it? I think it is. Anyway, you know the album we're talking about. This one he calls Santa Was a Trucker. And there is a little video to go with it. And it's, got images of, just like cartoon trucks that are made up for Christmas or, like a Santa standing outside his Christmas, his truck, and it's decorated, all kinds of different trucks and stuff that are decorated for Christmas. So check that out. There's a link in the show notes, or you can just go to YouTube and type Eric McMahon. That's ERICHMCMANN. Is that right? Yeah, I think that's right. Anyway, you'll get close. Sorry if I messed that up there, Eric. All right, I guess we should get on with today's thing here. And then we're not going to have feedback, like I said, but I am going to add an extra little treat right at the end. So stay tuned for that. Getting ready to go on to the main topic, and I'm just looking back at my list of things that I just talked about, and man, it seems like there's an awful lot of self-promotion there. Boy, I just Really don't want the Trucker Dump podcast just to turn into a "Hey, look at me" type thing. Anyway, I do have some reviews I'm going to be working on, some little products and some software, things like that, and little apps. So I'll be bringing those to you in the future instead of just plugging all this stuff that I'm doing. But, hey, I guess really that infographic, I didn't do it. Another guy did it. And I wanted to warn you off that podcast. So, oh well. Anyway, whatever. Let's get on with today's podcast. The main part of it anyway. I guess all of it's the podcast. But anyway, heads up to all you truckers, because I'm pretty sure truckers can't read. According to the FMCSA website, you must be able to speak and read English to drive trucks in the United States. I think this is one of those times where the word ironic actually works. Now, you'll notice I said that sentence just a little bit weird. I said t instead of to. Well, that's because our brilliant overseers somehow managed to misspell a two-letter word on their website. This is the website that talks about reading and speaking English. I think that qualifies as ironic, right? Oh, if you don't believe it, though, just click the link in the show notes here and check it out yourself. Can't believe it's spelled. And, now I really hope they don't fix it now that I've mentioned this, because it's times like these that I'm glad my blog, nobody really listens to it, and it's about as popular as a reality show about corporate accountants. Quite honestly, I didn't trust my own eyes the first time I saw that. It's kind of like that time when I was 12 years old and my best friend and I spotted a discarded Playboy in the alley behind our small town public library. Of course, now this Christian would just keep on walking, but I was freaking 12 years old, man. And they were naked. Okay, let's come off memory lane, or memory alley in this case, and get to the point. What the heck is wrong with truckers today? Can y'all not read or what? At least the 11 million or more illegal immigrants, depending on who you ask, who come here every year have a legitimate excuse. But I see a crap ton of cases every day where CDL holding drivers apparently can't read. Case in point? Anyone who's been on I-65 in Kentucky recently knows that pretty much the whole stinking 137-mile stretch is plagued by bright orange dialects. I've been there quite a lot lately, and I can tell you firsthand that most truckers can't read. Either that, or they're just blatantly ignoring traffic signs. But that can't be right, can it? Truckers would never do that, would they? Well, apparently they would. A big chunk of that road has signs that clearly read, "Trucks must use left lane." Now, there are a bunch of them out there. I wasn't keeping track, but I bet there's a sign every 4 or 5 miles for at least 60 or 70 miles. I was in the left lane going 55 miles an hour because that's how fast the other non-readable sign said to go. That's when I realized I was the last remaining literate trucker. I had truckers screaming by me on my right side. Now, since I also seem to be the last trucker on the planet that actually obeys the speed limit, prime drivers don't count. Ooh, burn, driver Chris Mack. I wasn't surprised in the least that everyone was passing me. What did surprise me is that no one, and I mean no one, was getting back in the left lane after they had passed me. They just stayed out in the right lane. So actually, they were even closer to those left lane signs than I was, and they still couldn't read them. I simply don't understand why. Like I said, I was the only one in the left lane that was within eyeshot. So it's not like they had to get out there and stay out there to get around other trucks. And of course, the cars weren't in the way because they were all going way faster than the speeding trucks. Can someone please explain the rationale here? Now, you all know how much I loathe the CB, but this is one time I just couldn't resist. I keyed up the mic and said, "Am I the only one who can read, or do y'all know something that I don't?" Now, normally I'm on Team Trucker, but I just couldn't help but think to myself, where's a cop when you need him? Yeah, I know that most of you are thinking, you drive your truck and I'll drive mine. I hear you. Now shut up. It's my podcast. This all happened when I was heading southbound. When I headed back north a couple of days later, I thought to myself, surely that was a fluke. I'm sure that I won't be that bad on the way back up. Well, I was kind of right. I had two other trucks who were content to fall in behind me and go 55 mile an hour in the left lane. I saw a couple of law-abiding southbounders too, but still the vast majority of truckers were hammered down in the right lane. And I thought, maybe it's just a Kentucky thing. Maybe there's just so much whiskey in this state that everyone's blurry-eyed. Nope. A couple days later, I was on I-94 heading down into Chicago from Wisconsin. The signs there read, "Trucks use 2 right lanes." There were 4 lanes in my direction, and I was in the far right lane like a good little boy. I get a cookie, right? Sure as shooting, some hot dog trucker comes up in the 3rd lane. He wasn't going that fast, so why was he 1 lane left of legal? It was 4 a.m., so it wasn't heavy traffic. There weren't even any vehicles in the 2nd lane beside me. Even more mind-boggling, when another lane opened up so there were now 5 lanes, he scooted over 1 more to where he was now 2 lanes beyond legal. What the heck? Okay, fine. I get it. Trucking's hard. Being paid by the mile bites harder than a rabid crocodile. I also understand that you get dispatched on loads that you couldn't possibly deliver on time even if you had a jumbo-sized TARDIS. Wow, my second Doctor Who reference in one podcast. Also, your company's e-logs give you less and less wiggle room. And of course, you need to speed to make up for the fact that your company's routing software screws you out of at least 10% of the mileage on every trip. But maybe the problem is both the carriers and the driver. You say your mileage pay is lower than a snail's belly button? Find a carrier who pays more. Can't deliver that load on time without speeding? How about telling your dispatcher that their poor planning doesn't necessitate you risking your CSA points, your CDL, and a handful of cash that your evil overlord would rather spend on pedicures than give to some small-town Barney Fife? E-logs forcing you to drive faster? Well, get used to it. They're coming to us all. Link in the show notes if you haven't heard about that. And perhaps if you don't like how you get shorted on mileage pay because you can't fly like a crow, well, with that you're pretty much screwed. Join the crowd. I just wish that so many drivers out there weren't hell-bent on giving all us truckers a bad rep. I mean, I know that auto drivers are often as alphabet challenged as all you truckers, but I can't help but think at least some of those Kentucky-bred four-wheelers saw those signs and were wondering why all the trucks were in the right lane. Or were they? For all I know, they didn't pass reading class either, and they thought I was the feminine washbag who was blocking the fast lane. Who knows with them? The fact remains that you truckers are naughty little lads and lasses. And you know what that means. You're going to have to wash your stocking the day after Christmas. I hear those lumps of coal can cause quite a mess. Merry Christmas, everyone. Okay, now for the little treat I promised. Since it is Christmas time, I was reminded the other day that by driver Chris Mack, that's his name on Twitter, that's driver Chris MC, is the way that's spelled. He reminded me that I should tell everyone about my poem that I wrote for Christmas. I wrote it back a couple of years ago, and I am going to play it for you right here really fast, because it is called "'Twas the Night Before Christmas, Trucker Style." 'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the truck, the only thing stirring was a case of bad luck. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care. Thanks to my job, I wasn't there. The nephews were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of Modern Warfare 3 danced in their heads. With the evil overlord at home in her teddy, hey, it's my poem, and I on the road, we had both settled down to take off a load. When outside my truck there arose such a clatter, I sprang from the bunk to see what was the matter. I reached for my clothes, knowing I was certain. Prepared for the worst, I opened the curtain. The moon in the sky gave off such a great glow, it made the parking lot look like it was covered with snow. When what to my wondering eyes should appear but a flatbed loaded with big green John Deeres. With the driver outside looking at my truck, I knew right away I had more bad luck. As I jumped outside to check out my bumper, something flew over my head and then took a big dumper. My luck continued as I took it in the eye. It was such a huge load, it almost made me cry. As I looked to the sky, I swore I heard a jingle. I took cover and prayed it didn't need to tinkle. Alas, I did not see what dumped on my head, but I thought I glimpsed something that might have been red. I thought, could that have been good old Saint Nick? Nah, couldn't be. My eyes had just played a trick. So back to my problem, the wreck, not the poop. I called my Nazi safety department to give them the scoop. We exchanged information, and he went on his way. I guess he was too embarrassed to back in and stay. Next thing you know, I was getting a call. The evil overlord sounded like she was about to bawl. It seems that some fat guy had squeezed down through our roof. He didn't seem too happy that it burned his caboose. He was all dressed in fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all covered with ashes and soot. She said, "Why would a man be wearing so much fur? I bet he's one of those drag queens. Do I call him sir? His eyes, how they twinkle. His dimples, how merry. This dude must be wasted. I'm guessing it's cooking sherry." His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the sherry had stained his beard like a dead deer in the snow. The stump of a pipe he held tight in his teeth, and she said, "Holy cow, I think that's weed." He had a broad face and a big old gut. Every bit of him was fat, yes, even his butt. He was chunky and plump, a right jolly old guy. She said, "I'd be jolly too if I was that high." A wink of his eye and a shake of his head. "Are you kidding me, perv? Not even if I were dead." He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work, and filled all the stockings with Doritos and beef jerk. And laying his finger aside of his nose, and giving a nod, up the chimney he rose. He sprang to his sleigh, and they lurched into flight. As she leveled the shotgun, she had him in sight. As he started to exclaim, she squeezed off a shot. "That'll teach you to let your reindeer poop in my husband's eye." The end. Merry Christmas. Well, there you go. A quick and painful episode. If you'd like to write in to tell me, "You drive your truck and I'll drive mine," or you have general feedback about the show, please contact me at truckerdump@gmail.com. Or you can go to abouttruckdriving.com, search for TD112, and leave your comments there. If you want to give me a Christmas present, just go to Twitter and follow me at Todd McCann. That's 2 D's, 2 C's, and 2 N's. Well, there's another year in the books. As always, thanks for listening and sticking with me despite my crazy release schedule, or lack of. I really appreciate your dedication. Enough butt kissing though. So until next year, drive safe and stay out of my way.